I thought I'd create a little video about this one because when you see the list of how to make it, it's going to freak you out, but it really is very simple. What I've done is I've written two different ones. I've written one that's a short recipe that's in the recipe card, and then I've written the long version for those of you that have never made cheesecake before, so that you can read exactly what to do. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put a baking sheet in the bottom of our slice tin. Now I'm using a slice tin because I just think it's easier to cut the baklava cheesecake up. And I'm getting all my ingredients ready. You know that I chop my butter into small cubes. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to melt our butter, and this is for the Filo pastry. But what I'm going to do is I'm melting 70 grams of butter in my Thermomix, and I'm adding a little bit of cinnamon to give it a bit of flavor. We're also going to put some nuts in between each layer, so you'll see me layering the Filo pastry shortly. Okay, so I'm just setting the Thermomix now for time, temperature and speed. So we're doing 3 minutes, 70 degrees on speed 1. I'm just adding some butter to each end of my baking sheet. So this, my baking tray, so this will actually help me get this out later. But you can see that I've put my baking sheet in and I've held it down with paper clips. Now over the sides of my tin, there's an overlap so that when I want to take the cheesecake out, I can just lift it out using that overhang. Okay, so let's get our Filo pastry out of the bag. So I don't necessarily put a tea towel over the top of my Filo because I work fairly quickly with it and I only take out of the bag what I need to use at the time. So now I'm going to take out, I'm counting my sheets, I'm going to take 3 sheets out, and then I'm going to fold the rest up and put it back into the bag. So I'm just popping that in there for a sec while I finish putting this one away. Pop it in the bag, and my butter is still melting. You can see on my Thermomix that the color of the light above has gone orange, so then we know that it's getting really close to the temperature we need to go, and it's not really super hot, so we don't want it boiling the butter, we want it just hot. Now I'm pouring out the cinnamon butter mix into a glass dish so that I can brush it onto my Filo pastry. While we wait for the butter just to cool down a little bit, I'm going to start toasting the nuts that I'm going to use in my air fryer. Now you can use your fry pan, air fryer, oven, whatever you wish, but I think the walnuts are really nice if you can toast them. Walnuts, almonds are great toasted. Pistachios I tend to leave raw for 2 reasons. 1, I prefer the flavor, and 2, I like to see that nice beautiful green and pink that they show. With the nuts toasting in my air fryer, I'm going to get on with making my syrup. So I'm adding all my syrup ingredients into the Thermomix bowl, and we're going to heat these up basically to dissolve the sugar. But what we're going to do is we're going to reduce it a little bit so it's thickened as well. Now with your Thermomix, with your TM7, you leave the lid cap on. It will splatter a little bit, but the lid cap will fix that. If you don't have a TM7, you're going to have to use your basket on your lid. Don't use the MC because we want it to reduce. So use your basket on top of your TM5 or TM6. Okay, so my nuts are ready out of the air fryer. I've only had them in there 3 to 5 minutes because the nuts will burn really quickly, so you need to keep an eye on them. I'm just going to tip them out onto a cutting board and chop them by hand. I actually prefer to chop them by hand. It's completely up to you. Of course you can do it in your Thermomix. You'll have to do that first while your Thermomix is not wet, but I like to chop them by hand because I want them fairly chunky, and it's pretty easy to do if you do it like this. And yeah, that just gives me the right size for what I need. All right, so put the nuts to one side and make way for the Filo. So I'm just moving my Thermomix out of the way and I'm grabbing my first sheet of Filo. And I'm going to layer them in here and I'm going to overlap them. So you can see it's 3 sheets. One sheet is folded over 3 times. Put plenty of butter onto this, and then you want to grab a little handful of your nuts and sprinkle them over the top. And easy peasy, we just grab another sheet of Filo and we're going to fold this in. Now it will depend on what sort of tin you have and how this will work, but just use the tin that you have. You probably want about 9 layers of Filo to make it a decent base for your Thermomix. So with me using 3 sheets and folding them over 3 times gives me my 9 layers. Okay, so this is the last layer of my base, and I'm just putting the last bit of butter on top and another handful of nuts. The rest of the butter I'm putting aside because when we've finished our cheesecake, when we put the batter in and we put our Filo on top, we'll need a little bit of butter for the top of that. And I'm also keeping aside a handful of the nuts for the top of the cheesecake as well. So now this cheesecake base will go into your oven or air fryer and you're going to toast it off until it's golden brown. Okay, so my base has come out of my air fryer oven and I have got it beautiful and crisp. And this is what you're looking for this stage. I'm going to go on, as this is cooling, I'm going to go on and make the batter for my cheesecake now. Okay, so I start off with my Philadelphia cream cheese. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this, I've taken it straight out of the fridge. So with your Thermomix, you don't need to worry about getting it to room temperature. I've taken it straight out of the fridge and I'm going to cut these blocks into 8 so that our Thermomix doesn't have to work too hard. I know it will do it, but to save those blades, I'm just going to cut each block into 8 and put that into my Thermomix. Let's go on fast speed now. So this is really simple to make a cheesecake batter. What I'm doing is I'm putting all my ingredients into the Thermomix bowl that goes into the batter except for all the eggs. So I'm only adding 1 egg in at the start and I'm going to mix my batter with the Thermomix and make it soft. So this will actually help when we go to put the butterfly in. So we're going to make the mix soft by beating it, put the butterfly in, and then put the last 2 eggs into the Thermomix bowl. And we're going to whisk this all together, and that will help make it a beautiful creamy mixture without the eggs separating and curdling. Okay, silly me, my video wasn't working. I've actually put half the syrup in the base of my cheesecake and then I've put the cheesecake batter on top of that and I'm putting it in and making it as neat as I possibly can, and then I'm just going to tidy that up and I'm going to set that aside while we make the top of our cheesecake using Filo again. So cleaning down my bench, and I'm going to grab out some more of my Filo pastry. All right, so this looks like it might be difficult, but it's really easy to do. So I encourage you to try it. So I'm just putting a little bit more of the cinnamon and some honey into my butter mix, and I'm making each sheet and crimping it up as I go. It's really easy to do. So let me slow the video down a little bit so you can see what I'm talking about. So I'm taking 1 sheet, I'm putting a stack of butter cinnamon mix on top, and then I take one end and you just crimp it up, you just gather it in between your fingers. It's really, really easy to do, and I'm popping that into my baking sheet. So what I've done is I've put 4 Filo pastry sheets, crimped them up and put them into this one, and then I've taken another sheet, folded it in half, and I'm crimping that up, and I'm going to put that down the end so I can fill the top of my sheet, fill it all up. So I hope that makes sense. So just doing the last sheet now, and I'm just going to fold that up, and I'm going to stuff that in down the side. So I really like to see lots of the Filo on top because it just gives you a really crunchy top. The base won't stay super crunchy, but the top will. So I'm just putting loads of butter on top of here, and then I'm going to bake. So I'm putting it into my oven at 160. At the 30-minute mark, I take out my tray and I put in my sensor. This is going to let me know when it gets to 64 degrees, which is the perfect temperature for this cheesecake in this tin. Now, putting it in at this stage means that it will sit without touching the base or the sides because the cheesecake has already started to firm up. As you can see, my cheesecake is at 59 degrees already, and I've set it for 64. When the cheesecake hits the right temperature, my Thermomix will tell me, which is right now 64 degrees, and I take it out. Alright, so now the final flourish. So what I've done is I've added some pistachios, and as I said earlier, I like to keep them without being toasted because it shows that lovely green. So I've just chopped them up, and I'm going to put them on top of my baklava with some rose petals. Now these rose petals need to be edible rose petals. You can get them from many Middle Eastern stores. I've just warmed up my syrup a little bit, and I'm going to pour it over my cheesecake and try to get it as even as I can, and then I'm going to pop it in the fridge to chill. It wants to chill for about 2 hours before you serve it, even longer. The next day cheesecake tastes even better. So put your lovely syrup over the top, and I've got those nuts, pistachios and the rose petals as an extra garnish. And there you have it, all sliced, ready to go. You could make some more of the syrup and pour that over the top as you serve it, but I'm pretty sure that one will impress anyone.